All right, I don't think that I can read that one on camera. So yeah, moving on. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your favorite mask collector's favorite mask collector, AJ Good, here at the House of Masks, where we unbox and review cool stuff almost every single day, but not today. No, today we are actually going to be shooting a video unlike any other video that we've ever uploaded to the channel here, and that is because I am feeling inspired. Now, let me explain. I was watching the latest upload from my buddy Nightshade over on the Night Shift, and he did a video that he said he was inspired by me on, and his video was horror hot takes. Basically, he asked his viewers to drop their horror hot takes on a post. He was going to read through them, discuss them just a little bit, tell you whether he agreed or disagreed, why or why not. And not only did I really enjoy that video that he made, but I also felt super inspired by it. So I decided to make one on Slipknot hot takes. It's funny how him being inspired by a video of me made him make a video that inspired me to make the video that you guys are watching right now. It's like Inspireception or something. So yeah, dude, that is the idea for today's video. We are going to be talking about your Slipknot hot takes. So a few days back, I made a post and I asked you guys to drop your Slipknot hot takes, and we ended up with 277 comments on that post, and I am still getting comments to this very moment. So I figured right now would be a good time to do one of these videos, and I am sure that there is going to be a part 2 because there's no way that we are getting through almost 300 comments in today's video, and I know that the comments are just going to keep coming. So depending on how this video does, depending on how many likes it gets, depending on the comments down below, we may end up doing a part 2. And yeah, dude, there is the introduction. So let's just go ahead and start scrolling. I will stop when one of these catches my eye, and that will be that. So let's just go ahead and see what we've got. Now, keep in mind that these are just my opinions on your opinions. No one is here to change anybody's mind. I'm not going to tell you whether you're right or you're wrong, although I will probably tell a lot of you guys when you're right or you're wrong. But regardless, just my opinions. I don't mean to ruffle anybody's feathers, but I also don't really care. It's a fun Slipknot video, so. Alright, so the first one that's really catching my eye here might be a little bit of a sensitive subject, but I think that that is going to be a very common theme with a lot of these comments, so we will try to answer these as best as we possibly can. But the first one I'm going to read is from IMJK, and it says, "Losing Fehn was a completely avoidable loss that will prevent the knot from ever again being perceived as the brotherhood it was at the beginning of the mainstream ride." Kind of agree, kind of disagree. Let me tell you why. I don't think that losing Fehn was where everybody started to see kind of the decline of the brotherhood, as they used to put it in the old days. I think that that sort of arose when they got rid of Joey. Now, obviously, they fired Joey long before Fehn was ever out of the band. I think that they put out another album and were getting ready to put out another album before Fehn decided to sue them and he was removed from the band. I definitely remember seeing a lot of people kind of poking at the whole brotherhood concept when Joey was let go, and I think that it's for much better reason than Fehn was let go. I mean, Fehn was let go because he wasn't happy with his pay and he decided to do something about it. Joey was let go over something completely different. It was somewhat health related, somewhat addiction related, and at the end of the day, I think, you know, both of them didn't have a place in Slipknot anymore for whatever reason. Now, I am the biggest Joey fan on planet Earth, but it was no secret that with his health decline, he just could not play the songs anymore, and his day was coming, unfortunately. And I hate to throw any sort of shade towards Joey, but it just is what it is, and it sucks. But that's life. It sucks. And something as big as Slipknot is obviously going to have to go on for one reason or another, good or bad, whether you like it or not, and it is what it is. Now, the thing with Fehn being taken out of the band and Slipknot somehow not being the same anymore is kind of crazy, because at the end of the day, I think factually speaking and kind of objectively, he was probably the least important member. Like, he was not an integral part of Slipknot whatsoever. And I liked Chris. I liked Chris in the band, but I just don't think that he really brought anything to the table. Like, his background vocals are a little better than Foff's were when Foff first joined the band, but other than that, what was he doing, you know? I don't think that he was a very big part of the writing process with the music. I think that he was just there to do what he was told to do, and that was that, and that's okay. I also don't think that he was very involved with the art directive of anything. I don't think that he was like Clown, where he is choosing the album covers and the artwork, and he was designing the stages, and he was directing music videos and whatnot. I just don't think that Chris is the example that you should have used here. I think that Joey is the example that you should have used here when you said that they would not be perceived as a brotherhood after a certain point. I think that letting Joey go is where that kind of all started to show its cracks. And yeah, I think that Joey was completely integral. I think that he was one of the original members. I think that he had a lot to do with the writing. I think that he had a lot to do with pretty much everything, man. So yes and no. Losing Fehn was completely avoidable. He probably shouldn't have sued. I know that maybe he thought he wasn't making enough money, but man, you're in Slipknot, dude. Like, you are making money, and you're making money for being even a less important member than Craig. I think Craig brought more to the table than Fehn did. So yeah, long-winded response. I'll try not to make all of them that long. And now we will move on to another Slipknot hot take. Hey, want some masks? Well, I've got good news for you, because for just $5, you could be entered to win masks from my collection. That's right, all $5 and higher patrons are now entered to win a monthly giveaway. That means once a month, I'm drawing a random name out of my patrons, and you guys are walking away with a free mask. Could be Slipknot, could be Myers, could be anything that's in the House of Masks. So go sign up today, support the House of Masks, and automatically be entered to win a free mask. New winner drawn on the 1st of the month, every month. All right, I don't think that I can read that one on camera. So yeah, moving on. All right, so I've got one here from Heartless Clockwork, and he says, Clown's best mask in terms of design and feel was the stitched bondage hood from All Hope Is Gone. I gotta give this one a hard disagree. I don't think aesthetically that mask is good at all. I really am not a fan. It is one of my least favorite Clown masks, but I will go ahead and give this one maybe the one that makes the most sense in terms of the concept and why it looks the way that it does. So the story behind that mask is that Clown had recently lost both of his parents, and he just felt like shutting the world out. He didn't want to do interviews, so he didn't make a mask that he could really speak through. The mouth was just zipped completely shut. He didn't want you looking into his eyes, so he put like some chrome mirror lenses in the eye holes. Every part of him was completely just shut off. It was completely concealed.
I invent the evilest thing I possibly can put on my face. Constructed of leather, cop shades, a chrome Ming the Merciless hat, put it all together, can't see shit, can't breathe, can't feel, can't do anything. Very painful. That was a personal pain. I lost my dad the album before, and my mom the album before, and that's how I felt. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to do interviews. I just want to be in my own world and be reminded.
There was absolutely no Clown to be had, and I think that translates very well into that design. Now, aesthetically, I don't like it, but I do always appreciate some time and effort and some real reasoning going behind the design of a mask. And Clown is pretty good about that. He has a few masks that all have their reasons. So we've got the All Hope Is Gone stitched up bondage hood, which has a great reason behind it, and I think that it translated really well. We also have the 0.5, the gray chapter masks, where he was rocking a completely different look every single night, but they were all on the same exact base mask.
As of the last 3 days, I feel like nothing, so nothing is exactly what you get, void of all color. Might as well be fucking space, because that's pretty much where I feel I'm at right now.
Now, I think that is super, super cool, and it gives old school Slipknot vibes. It always reminded me of Sid doing a different sort of face paint design under his gas masks and some of his Bone Iowa masks back in the self-titled and the Iowa eras. So I think that that's super cool. Clown also did the chrome, like mirrored finish Clown for We Are Not Your Kind, and he had a reason behind that. He basically wanted a mirrored finish mask so that when you were looking at Clown, you were looking at yourself. There's a little bit of Clown in all of us, I guess, is the point behind that one. And even though I don't like how that mask ever really looked, I do like the meaning behind it. I think that that is super, super cool. So I think in terms of why this concept exists and why it was designed that way, the All Hope Is Gone stitched up mask is perfectly fine and acceptable. I am just not personally a fan of the aesthetic, but I'm not really a fan of the aesthetic of anybody from the All Hope Is Gone era. It just felt way too generic and hot topic-y in my opinion. So there we go. Ooh, this is a good one. So this one is from LP004, and he says, this shouldn't be a hot take because it's true, but amongst certain Slipknot fans who don't understand his role or are blinded by things they don't like about him, it absolutely is. Clown is arguably the most important member. Without his direction, mindset, and ideas, especially in the early years, the band wouldn't be what it is now. Obviously, the band is bigger than one person, and you can still create and perform without him or any of the others, but he is the main driving factor behind the construction of the band, the masks, the art, the mentality, and just the overall presence. You can think what you want about him now, you can question his musical abilities and instrument of choice, what he says or does, but you can't take away his actual contributions behind the scenes. Without him, Slipknot wouldn't be the kind of band that it is today. And I think that that is maybe my favorite comment from this, so much so that I'm going to give it a thumbs up, I'm going to heart it, and I'm going to pin it to the top of this because I couldn't have said that better myself. I hate when people give Clown flack and they try to write him off as just some guy that's up there banging on a trash can. That is their favorite unoriginal comment to make, when in reality, this is perfectly 100% accurate and true. I mean, there is no secret, it's been out there for a long, long time, that Clown is the reason for a lot of the stuff that we love about old Slipknot. Now, obviously, he is heavily involved with anything modern, but I am talking the good old days that everybody likes to go back on Nostalgia Boulevard and visit. We wouldn't have the jumpsuits. We wouldn't have half of the original masks. The Jester and Chris's Liars, those wouldn't exist without Clown. He literally created those. We wouldn't have some of the samples that we have, some of the live aesthetic. We wouldn't have the jumpsuits. Did I mention that already? I probably did. We wouldn't have the poses, the finger guns and shit. Like, all of that was Clown.
She was like, okay, cool, you're gonna be in a band, you're gonna jam, you still gotta be here to put the kids to bed and help feed and do these kinds of things. And I was like, you don't understand, I'm gonna make the biggest band in the world. I'm gonna focus all my energy and I'm going to tighten up every loose end, from the way we tie our shoes, to the way we play, to the way we look, to the way we act, to the way we talk, to the way we walk into a venue. I'm gonna tighten it all up, and it's not gonna fail, and it's gonna be noticed, and if it's not noticed, I'm gonna kick the door in.
He said that he planned this all the time, 24/7, until it was happening, and then some. He said that he planned all of this out right down to how they tied their shoes, and I believe it. So yeah, I mean, there is just absolutely no question that he is the driving force behind most of the things that we love about Slipknot. To try to write him off as just the guy that like bangs on trash cans or whatever on stage is crazy. And yeah, I know that he comes off a bit pretentious and very cryptic, and that annoys a lot of people. But the older I get, the more I understand. I will say that 100%. And I don't think that we just get to pick and choose when we like his pretentiousness or his bullheadedness or whatever, because I know that a lot of you guys are right there with me when it comes to a lot of those old interviews where he is just being a fucking asshole, that we ate that up.
I mean, I don't care about Alice Cooper. I don't give a fuck. You know, I have total respect for him. He had his day. He's a legend, you know, but he has got nothing to fucking do with me. Here.
we loved that. We loved the no nonsense, here I am, fuck you, fuck everything, Slipknot is the only thing that matters. We loved that. I still revisit those interviews and I absolutely love them. So all hail the clown. I think that, I regret really kind of ever saying anything bad about the guy, especially after meeting him, because he did not have to be kind to me, and he was. And the older you get and the more you understand about Slipknot, the more you will understand just how important he was to the band. It quite literally wouldn't exist at all without Clown. So shout out to Clown. I think that that was a perfect comment. So let's continue. All right, so here's one that you guys will probably know exactly what I'm going to say by the time that we get to the end of it, but this one is from Pierce Wettenbone 5804. They say, my hot take, I guess, would be that the self-titled masks fit the lore of the band better than any other record cycle, in my opinion. These are 9 psychos from Des Moines, Iowa. It would make more sense that they use store-bought masks you could find anywhere at that time, then use stitches, zippers, leather straps, etc. to turn their masks into something crude and horrifying. Kind of like Michael Myers, Ghostface, and Jason's masks are iconic, even though they're Halloween masks that you could get anywhere. I like most of the group's masks after self-titled, especially Corey's Volume 3, Clown's All Hope Is Gone female mask, and most of Sid's Point 5 masks, but for me, the self-titled masks I felt fit the band better. Yes, absolutely, almost objectively, there is no way around this. I mean, when Slipknot were debuting this absolutely crazy brand new sound, they were also introducing a crazy brand new look. I mean, there were obviously mask bands before them, but they weren't doing what Slipknot did. Slipknot did almost kind of what Gwar did, It was just a different type of aesthetic. Nobody had really fit this crazy look that Gwar had created, just like nobody had ever fit this look that Slipknot had created. Now, there were bands that had masks like Mr. Bungle, and they were store-bought masks, but they were just store-bought masks. These heavily modified store-bought masks brought everything to a completely different level. I still think that they're perfect. I still think that we haven't seen anything quite like them. And I totally agree. It fits the look, the aggression, the sound, everything. Everything about those self-titled to kind of mid-Iowa store-bought masks that were altered and made to make this look is perfect. I don't think that that's a hot take at all. All right, let's keep going. We're actually at 24 minutes so far, so I think we've got time for a few more, and this will definitely have to be a series. You guys got to let me know down below whether that is something that you are interested in or not. Here's one that says, Tortilla Man Fehn needs more recognition and deserves more background vocals. I barely heard him on the In So Far album. He sounded rough when he first started, but he sounds fantastic nowadays. Yeah, totally agree. I would love to see more involvement from him in any way, shape, or form. I think he is just an absolutely incredible multi-instrumentalist, and I think that for some reason, his goofy ass just works in the band. I've thought that since the beginning. I really love his shenanigans, and I really love the fact that he is so well trained in music that I think that he can bring a lot of interesting and weird stuff to the band. I also think that his vocals have heavily improved from the beginning, so I would absolutely love and embrace more Fehn on the records and more Fehn live. He is up there acting like a maniac, but if there is more for him to do musically, I am all for that. I don't think that that's a hot take at all. I think that that is great. Now, next. This one is from Billiam Winton. He says, Jay Weinberg had way more JJ, Joey Jordison, essence, which made Slipknot still feel complete. I agree completely. I have met Eloy. I think that he is a super, super nice guy. He was very kind to me. I also do think that he is probably the most technically skilled metal drummer on the face of the earth. And every drummer that I know thinks the same thing. However, I like Jay's presence a lot more. I like Jay's playing a lot more. And there's this big debate amongst people that don't actually know what they're talking about, where they seem to think that Jay was fired because he was always off time. But that is not the case. I can 100% tell you that that is not the case. There's actually an interview, like, I don't know, 9 months before Jay was let go, where Mick is talking about how he likes that they don't play to a click and that every night the songs come out just a completely different time than the night before because they are playing how they feel and what they feel, and what they feel ends up being the speed of the song that night. So,
and that's something that about us that I've always liked is, and some people might complain about it, but on stage we go with fuck off. Like sometimes tempos are just, you know, like tempos, what's that? We're 20 beats per minute over it because we're just fucking out of our minds and on fire. But it's funny because it's like, Ross Robinson made that clear to me. He's like, we're in the studio and I'm sitting there, like just playing everything clean. You know, he's like, I don't feel shit. He's like, that's great, that's neat, you practiced, okay? So like, hit me with that shit. He's like, when I go see you play live, it's real. Like I feel it. He's like, now you're just playing notes because you practiced a bunch, that's cool. And I'm like insulted, but like, what the, you know, learn though, get rid of that sterility and hit that shit like you mean it. Because part of the reason why that Kiss Alive, why fucking Calling Dr. Love sounded so good is because they were on fire when they fucking did it. It wasn't thinking about being right and thinking about anything in the fucking studio. They're just, you know?
That is not the case. I think aesthetically, he was way cooler looking. I think that even though he might not be as technically skilled as Eloy, because who is, I like the rough, sloppy, crazy, hectic Slipknot. And, you know, Joey wasn't the most technically precise or clean drummer either. I mean, he was definitely an incredible drummer and brought a crazy feel that nobody else really had. He definitely created a style, and I think that he was the most inspirational drummer of all time. I don't think that there has ever been another drummer that could rival how many people were inspired by Joey to go out and pick up sticks and start playing the drums. I don't think that that's questionable, but I will say that he was not the craziest, most technical drummer of all time, and I liked the chaotic feel. Joey brought a chaotic feel, especially with live stuff, man. Like, he was just going off. He was changing the songs every single night. There isn't a single Slipknot song from Joey that was played the same night after night after night, and I love that. And I think that Eloy, at the end of the day, is almost too good. Like, he is just too good for what the Slipknot feel is. When I think of Slipknot, I think of chaos, I think of fucking fighting, I think of violence, I think of just fire and crazy shit. And when I think of Eloy, I think of how in the fuck is he playing that well? He is better than a metronome. That's what I think of, and I just think that it's a clash. But we will also have to wait and see what he brings to the table writing-wise. I am very curious and somewhat excited to hear a new record with Eloy being a writer and a recording artist, so we will see. But overall, yeah, I think all around, Jay definitely carried Joey's essence a little better than Eloy, but it's apples to oranges, so it is what it is. You'll never win that fight. Jay was everybody's favorite member until he got fired, and then all of a sudden everybody pretended to not like him, which I think is irritating. But that also kind of sums up a lot of the Slipknot fan base very, very well. Now, let's move on. All right, so this one is from The Greatest Darn. Cool username, by the way. He says, might not be a hot take on the community of this channel in particular, but you know it is common in Slipknot circles. Iowa is the most musically stale album they've ever released, but to this day we keep treating it like God came from the skies and shit gold. That is a funny comment, and I can absolutely understand why you think that. I don't know if stale is the word that I would use for it. I think that I would say that Iowa is the most cohesive throughout, like from start to finish. Every song on that record sounds like it's from that record. They are very, very similar in pretty much every aspect, from the tone to the way that Joey is drumming, and I don't have a problem with that because I love Iowa. I don't think that it is as good as Self-Titled. I think that that is a very big misconception, I guess. I mean, it's everybody's opinion, and opinions are subjective, but I do think that 100% Self-Titled has a better feel. It's got more interesting tracks, and it's got a lot more variety while also still living in that Self-Titled bubble. So I can definitely somewhat agree. I don't think that stale is the word that I would use. I would use cohesive and uniform. I don't think that there were a whole lot of risks and other sort of things. And then when they came out with Volume 3, it was the polar opposite. It was a very unsafe record by being safe, and the fact that we heard, you know, acoustic guitars for the first time in Slipknot songs on Volume 3. There was definitely a lot more variety with that record. I will say, I think that Iowa is Slipknot's second best record, and I don't think that it should get the praise that it gets, only because I think that a lot of that praise should still go to the self-titled record. So I'm back and forth on this one, 6-7. I don't quite think it's stale, but I do think that it is a bit too even. Does that make sense? All right, so we're already at 32 minutes, so I think that we should just do one more of these, and then I will get this video put out, and I will see how you guys receive it. I want to see if you guys enjoy this and want to see more, so please, by all means, let me know down in the comments below what you think. And if you enjoyed it and you want more and we get a good enough reaction, I will absolutely continue this series, because I feel like we've only touched on like 5 of these. And in reality, we're sitting here at 33 minutes of footage so far, and I don't like to make my videos super, super long. So yeah, do your thing. Let me know down below. We will do one more, and that will be today's video. So I gotta make it a good one. Let's see. Ooh, this one's a good one. This is from Septic Fox. He says, Slipknot should have never revealed their identities, period. They should have kept it up for as long as possible, and I actually do agree with this. And I think that there are certain members of the band that also agree with this. I'll explain why here in a little bit. But yeah, dude, there is just absolutely something about everything that is lost when it comes to a full-on reveal. You've got the loss of mystique, which does incredible things. I will 100% say that there is no question about that. Having some sort of mystery to your thing, anonymity, whatever it is intriguing. It's just cool. People love it. They love looking for the answer, and I think that not getting it for as long as possible is rad, which is why I still personally don't know who any of the members of Swollen Teeth are. Like, those are my friends. I have been across the country with them at this point. We've shared green rooms. Mega stayed for an entire weekend here just last year, and I've still never seen his face. And I like that. I think that that is incredible. And I remember how crushed I was the first time that I saw Corey Taylor's face. I didn't have access to the internet like most people did in the late 90s and early 2000s. So my first time seeing Corey's real face was in the Bother video. I just didn't like how it made me feel. I felt like I lost something. It was almost like a betrayal in my little kid mind, even though Corey is just a dude doing what he does and Stone Sour existed before Slipknot. I didn't like it. And that feeling carried on well into my young adulthood. I remember in like 2011, 2012, a buddy of mine showed me Ghost without their masks, and it crushed me. It just hurt my feelings. I didn't like it. I didn't want to see that side. I really enjoy the mystique. And when I tell you that certain members of the band actually think that same thing, I'll tell you a cool story here that Sid told me the first time that he came to visit the House of Masks. He told me that the reason that he did just like the eye covering portion of his Israeli at the Reading and Leeds Festival, and then the rest of his face was exposed with just face paint on, and the reason that he showed up to the Freddy vs. Jason premiere without a mask at all and only had his face painted is because he knew that Corey and that Joey were about to reveal themselves really hardcore to the world. Like, Corey was about to take Stone Sour out and they were going to be as big as they ever were. That includes Jim. And Joey was about to launch the Murder Dolls, which he obviously wasn't wearing a mask for either. And Sid was just kind of teasing the fans, like, this is about to happen. You're about to see more than maybe you want to see. And Sid was telling them, like, hey, let's hold on to this for just a little longer and just see what we can do with it. And they weren't for it, obviously. So Sid was just kind of throwing that out as a little pre-Easter egg type thing. And I think that that's cool.
This was to, a lot of the time I'll like do stuff that's like telling people like what's coming, like future style. Mm-hmm. And this was because I knew that Corey and Joey were going to start showing their faces. Because we were staying like concealed, mm-hmm. and then people were getting ready to start doing solo stuff, on downtime or whatever. So it was like telling people to prepare themselves for the revealing of people's faces, right? So that was like the whole point of that. And I that might have only been for like a couple shows,
like at the end of 2000.
Yeah, it was like at the end of the tour, and I was like, And I was like trying to hang on to like, come on guys, let's keep, let's kiss it up.
Yeah.
And hide our faces for longer, let's wait a little longer. But it wasn't gonna happen, so I was like, fucking went ape shit and did that.
And just goes to show that Sid is really about it, and man, that guy is super smart. So yeah, I agree. I would have loved to have seen them kept up the anonymity and kept up with the anonymity for as long as possible. Again, the internet wasn't the way that it is now back in 99 or 2000 or even 2004, 2005. You still would have had to have done quite a bit of digging to figure out who these guys were if they wanted to keep their identities as hidden as humanly possible. And yeah, it would have been a lot less easy than just a Google search is today or whatever, obviously. So I agree with that one. Well, all right. I think that is going to just about do it for this first installation of Slipknot hot takes. Thank you to everybody who submitted one of their hot takes under that post. I definitely appreciate it. You guys are all a part of this video, so hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah!
Now, again, I want to see if you guys enjoyed this, so please sound off in the comments and let me know what you thought. Let me know if you agreed or disagreed with anything that I said in this video, and most importantly, let me know whether or not I should do a part 2 to Slipknot hot takes. With all of that being said, I think that I am going to go ahead and get up on out of here. Thank you guys again for watching. I appreciate you, and until next time, this has been AJ Good here at the House of Masks, telling you to say no to drugs and alcohol, and yes to some hot takes, and we will see you guys in the next one.